That's a great question. Of course, Lloyd Blankfein has said that Tim Leissner, who's pleaded guilty to these various crimes, was a rogue operative. And there is no evidence that Lloyd Blankfein knew that anything criminal was going on. But I think the big problem here for Goldman is it's about red flags and compliance. Did they miss red flags? One of the huge red flags here was there was an operative called Joe Low who ran the fund from which the money was stolen from behind the scenes. And Goldman says that they couldn't have known that Joe Low was behind the fund and that Leissner, who's pleaded guilty, kept that from him. However, I believe many people at Goldman knew about it. Compliance asked Leissner over and over again about Joe Low, and it's unclear why they would have been doing that if there wasn't this fear about him. But I think that Goldman was making so much money from these trades that it was difficult to turn down.
Okay, so Tom, let's just talk about, though, the true implications for Goldman Sachs, not only its reputation, but its potential future regulation, cost in terms of all of this. You saw the stock drop the way it did yesterday. In terms of just the straight math, what's at risk here for Goldman?
Well, I think Goldman are for sure going to be fined under the Bank Secrecy Act of 1970. JP Morgan will fine $2 billion for hosting Bernie Madoff's accounts. And so people are guessing at the moment, but they're guessing that Goldman could be fined. This will be a civil penalty and could be in the quantum of $2 billion or more, billions of dollars. And then, the huge question mark here is, will Goldman as a firm be criminally indicted? And we just don't know the answer to that. Obviously, Tim Leissner has pleaded guilty, and he was no junior at the bank. He was the chairman of Southeast Asia when he left in 2016. And his sentencing will be in early next year in January, I believe. But will Goldman as a bank be criminally indicted or criminally prosecuted? We just don't know.
Were you surprised that as part of his guilty plea, he seems to suggest that he was a rogue actor in all of this, says that he deceived the compliance department, says that he deceived his own bank. Were you surprised that he took that tact as opposed to trying to effectively flip on others?
Well, he does appear to have flipped to a degree. There is a affidavit from June, which is very different from the indictment from August. The affidavit from June does not mention Andrea Vella, who until a few weeks ago was a co-head of investment banking at Goldman here in Asia. And the indictment in in August, doesn't charge Andrea Vella with anything, but it names him as a co-conspirator. And it appears to be that is from Leissner's testimony. It says that Vella was also involved in hiding Joe Low's role at the 1MDB fund from compliance at Goldman. And so that's very interesting. I think that's the kind of thing we're going to learn more about. Vella right now is on leave from the bank.
We've seen Goldman Sachs increase its legal reserves. What kind of number could you put on something like this?
Well, the talk, as I said earlier, the talk is like $2 billion at least. The JP Morgan Bernie Madoff number, but I mean, $3 billion, $4 billion. I mean, it's a guesstimate.
They don't have $3 or $4 billion in reserve at the moment, though. I don't think that their legal reserve is that high. I think it's in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
And I don't think they've provisioned as high as that number either. I think at their latest results they've provisioned much lower than that. So, but as I said, this is guesswork. Who knows what the regulators in the U.S. are going to do in terms of a civil fine?
Is it possible that in this regulatory climate, not to say that the government looks the other way, but that they say, look, this fellow, they deceived them, and they need to be fined, but it won't be as harsh a penalty?
Well, since the financial crisis, no bankers have gone to jail. I mean, I believe it seems likely that Tim Leissner will be sentenced. Again, we also don't know. He may have reached a plea deal that doesn't lead to jail time. Who knows on that? But yeah, bankers generally don't go to jail. It looks like much more likely it will be I think, a deferred prosecution agreement. But I think it'll be a very high number. In your segment earlier, the Prime Minister of Malaysia is asking for the money back. Well, that's $600 million in profits that Goldman got from this deal just to start with. And I think the number's only just going to go up from there.